Should we all clap together? Yes. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, so 1, 2, 3, then clap, right?
Yeah. One,
Wow.
2, 3. There we go. I used a little off. It's close enough. So, dude, guys, that was a lot of fun having Jen on the pod.
Jen was awesome.
Yeah.
She gave us some really good challenge on things that I didn't even think about. Guys, that made me start thinking a little bit about, we haven't done the whole guest thing.
That was our first one.
Yeah, and
First
we're pretty anti because we really don't want that. We want to be able to talk within the room. We've got enough thoughts in our brains. But if I ask you guys, what's a large influencer? Like someone who is influential in the market that we want to get on our pod. Let's create our dream board. Who you got? I mean, look, I'll start. I know Brian doesn't like him, but dude, how cool would it be to get someone like Elon Musk or someone like really big in here? That's who I dream of. Like someone who's just entrepreneurs of entrepreneur, someone who's doing something wild and doing it against the grain. Like that's who I'd like to see. What about you guys? Who you got?
I mean, I love Mark Cuban. I would love Cuban on.
Yeah.
I think Cuban's been through so much, and he's so personable too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I would love to have him on.
What about you?
I have 2. One is I would love Toby from Shopify.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. The second person is actually the CEO and founder of Groupon,
Okay.
Eric Lefkowski. He's working on this very cool AI platform before AI was cool called Tempest, that basically they use and harness data to be able to predict what medicine is going to be best for each condition, like cancer treatment and things like that. So doctors don't have to experiment anymore, but they actually try to define and find all that stuff out. So I think getting a whole different perspective, somebody that was in commerce and also now transition to a more medical space and how that has gone would be very fascinating.
Cool. What about you, John?
Not to keep going on the Shark Tank thing, and I know Cuban's leaving, but Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, I think would be a really
Kevin, oh dude, that man would be
really good
spicy.
one.
He
Yeah.
tells us how all our
He would be
businesses-
spicy.
Yeah, it would
Hot
be
take.
spicy. I would love a hot take one.
Mr.
I think
Royalty.
he's good. Mr. Royalty. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, dude, that's a good ass idea on how to make money.
Yeah.
He cares about that. But guys, we're talking about getting viral and influencer marketing. We're gonna kick this off in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. E-com is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the ASOM Pod, a show about perspective from the eyes of an agency, SaaS, operator, and a marketer focused on D2C, e-commerce, and retail. With over 55 years of combined business experience, founding over 12 different companies, we are excited to bring you this episode. Now, I'm gonna go around the room and introduce everybody. For those that don't know, John Roman, he's the Android-loving survival king. We've got Amir, the formerly known as the Prince of Bosnia. And I've got Brian, the funniest dude or self-proclaimed funniest dude on LinkedIn. We haven't gotten that officially. I think someone challenged you recently on that.
Did they?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
Yeah,
that.
they
Someone-
we added him to Brian's
Yeah.
people
my
he
list.
hates
He's on his
list.
list. One day we're gonna do a list on
I didn't hear this.
who he doesn't like. And my name is Jimmy Cave. I'm the moderator, 3-time founder, former D2C brand owner, and we are excited to bring this pod. Now, first things first, if you guys want to hang out with us, where should they go?
Creators Combine.
Yes, where if you're an agency, a SaaS, an operator, a marketer, come hang out. It's a paid community where we discuss the deepest things. We talk every day about all different sorts of challenges that we're experiencing, and we even do meetups and different fun things. And ASOM is a proud partner of Creators
Yeah,
Combine.
we're doing the next meetup in Nashville in December.
Yep, that's very cool. So guys, today we're gonna talk about going viral and influencer marketing because again, just like always, we've got a lot of unique perspectives in this room. And look, who doesn't love a viral video? Let's talk about it. We all talk about it. We talk about it about the pod. Like, how do we say things that make us viral? And sometimes it drives us into the wrong direction, and then we have to reel it back and realize what's going on. And we do it for content. We do it to get more eyes. We do it to get, people to follow us, more traffic, ultimately, distribution, right? That's what we're doing. But, we've had our fair share of different moments within all of us, and we all own a very unique thing of what I call the micro and the macro. But before we talk about that, I want to go into what it comes down to going viral, right? I think I've identified it into 3 things, and I'd love to discuss this as we start this pod off. But the first thing that comes into going viral, and then we're gonna talk about influencers to make that happen, of course. But the first thing is emotional connection, right? You have to tap into the emotion, humor, surprise, shock, nostalgia. It's storytelling, ultimately. And that resonates with the audience due to the emotional connection and often encourages people to share. When you guys think about going viral, emotion, how do you think about that? Like, what do you think? You were just making a video edit and you go, it's not good enough. Talk to me about that, because you were talking about an emotional trigger right there.
Yeah, the first thing I see, like the hook is so important now in content, right, in general, where We just saw like a wrap-up video of Commerce Roundtable that Nina, who's our affiliate in social media.
Great video.
Great video. Awesome video. And she had a hook in the beginning of it. Me and Paul Chambers from Sub Summit and CustomSockShop.com. He had Listerine packs, the strips on him. And the hook in the video was like me ripping on him that he's still purchasing something that died 10 years ago. But it was a little bit too long, right? So my initial reaction was just like laughter and just a good sense of feeling. But then that went away after 3 or 4 seconds.
Yep.
And it's kept going before the actual video started. So that initial emotional connection, whether that is surprise, laughter, humor, whatever, capturing that right away and then going into what you want to ultimately showcase. But it's important that it's short and sweet in the beginning content-wise.
And it goes right into the next part, number 2, which is visual strategy is a must, right? It doesn't matter if you're Kanye West and you're doing a mobile Super Bowl ad that's sideways and ugly, whatever, or really well executed, high quality, professionally built story, right? John, like when you think about the visual strategy of a battle box video or something you're doing, what do you guys think about often?
Yeah, so I think visual strategy is very, it's key. But ironically, what we've done, and you and I have chatted about this a bunch of times, so our video editing team led by Jay, phenomenal, super talented team. Like, they're at this point, the battle games, they put out the 3 episodes. The reality is they can go very, very, very professional visual, but for our content that goes viral, that does really, really well, they actually take it down a notch, and they don't take it fully to like a UGC vibe, but they take it to that visualness. And for that reason, that's what resonates with our audience members and how we grow. They actually don't go full to their ability on the edit. They actually take it down to more UGC vibe and feel, because on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, that just resonates. People love that. That's that back to the emotional connection.
Yeah, the visual is part of the emotional connection.
Yeah, it kind of blends together.
Storytelling, even if it's that rapid fire, like, different pictures that come up, or it's some kind of like something sad or whatever it might be, everything you're doing within those, first 15 seconds of emotional
even
trigger
less sometimes,
is really important.
Yeah.
Which leads me to number 3, timing and platform. You know what? Sharing content on the right platform at the right time is really crucial these days. That's what I'm thinking about. You can't just hit post on TikTok and expect that same viralness to translate to another platform. We've all seen that. Amir, I'd love to think about you there, because I think that's something that we've all discovered here working on the ASOM Pod. What has been something unique that you've seen when it comes to the timing and the platform and the importance behind that?
I think for me, of everyone here, I've had the least amount of success and excitement about the whole social aspect. I've just been, quite frankly, bad at it, and the only person I have blame is myself.
But I don't know if you're bad at it. I think it's human nature to think you're bad at it, and it's just you have to just continue to push through that.
So I'm not saying that I'm bad at putting out content in a sense from a quality standpoint. I am bad with commitment and consistency.
You're bad at that.
Yeah. I'm terrible at it. And my thing is, if I don't plan it ahead of time, I really don't do well with it. And it is what it is. What I've learned from it is actually different from each one of you. I think I've learned a little bit about the perspective from Brian when it comes to Instagram. I've learned a lot from John when it comes to LinkedIn. And I've learned from you when it comes to X or Twitter. But my biggest takeaway is it's not like the time that matters, like for example, in terms of whether you post at 8, 9, 10. I think that says influence. I think the relevancy and the timing of the post is what makes the biggest difference. Like if we're talking about furloughs or layoffs and Amazon does something that's huge, you got to piggyback of the
market timing, right?
Yeah, different types of timing.
Yeah.
Spot
so
on.
it's not the time when you post. And I think a lot of people are like, when should I post? You should post when the communication occurs. You gotta drive and dig into what people are paying attention to. And once that attention is gone, you're gonna find the next thing and the next thing and the next
thing. There's some data that's related to all this too. Like, what's interesting is that, and I may be a little bit more hypercritical about this because I'm out there trying to build my personal brand on this, but I look at a lot of things. I look at the data, the views, the engagement. I also look at timing. And when I do it, not just timing of like the market, but also timing of actual time. When are the people who follow me, the people who engage with me, most online on social? And I try to pinpoint those times, and I realize obviously I talk to a B2B community and they're online when they're working, not when they're offline and they're off doing other stuff. Or like, so a LinkedIn post will not do well on the weekend often unless it's really spicy and it really catches their attention, versus something super informative works really well on the weekdays, right? You start learning some of that stuff, and then it's about finding that right platform. And I say this all the time, like you can say stuff on X and then you put it on LinkedIn and you can get completely different reactionary actions, even though they're a similar audience, because of the platform platform and the expectation on that platform and what they believe in. It's just like you put an image up on LinkedIn, you put that same image on Instagram, they're not going to perform the same because we all know on Instagram it's all about reels and shorts, where on LinkedIn, and I know they're making the push right now, but the reality is they're not, right? It's different, right? It's still prioritizing an image more than you are seeing with something else. So I do think that timing is important. And that leads to our next part. And this is where I want to start tying this stuff together a little bit. But going viral requires influencer marketing. And influencer marketing is just not, is it really just a term for going viral? And I don't think it is, because in order to create influence, right, you need a large audience and distribution, but you also need a person or a brand or a figurehead or someone that creates trust and authority within your brand. And it's extremely hard. And in this room, we've got different types of influencers within our business today. And we'll go around the room here, but like we got micro influencer, I call it, because you don't have a huge following, but you guys have huge reach. Like we're gonna talk about this because it continues to blow my head with like, I only have 10,000 followers, but I look like someone who might have 1 million followers because
he does videos and they'll get more engagement than some of our videos.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's right. And then we got macro, super large, right? 900,000 followers on here, 800,000 followers here. You've got it across different platforms. And John has done that with Brandon, aka Curran 1776, right? So I want to start with Brian because we're going to go up the chain a little bit, and then we're going to switch over a little B2B, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Amer because he's worked with the biggest influencers, the celebrities of the world, and I know they think about things different. And we heard that Kanye West story. It doesn't matter when you're a brand that big, an influencer that big. So there's a difference with what those go. But Brian, I'm going to start with you, and I want to talk about micro. And I know we talked about Nina a couple times, but I want to talk about the thought process of why you believe that was the right move in the brand, and just discuss a little bit more of that and what you guys think about when you're thinking about going viral. Because right now, like, you guys just tend to create very scrappy but powerful videos with relevant topics. That's my take right now. You guys are very relevant in the things you talk about.
For sure. Yeah, so I think like if you take our product price point and the consumer profile that's purchasing our product, it's not a cheap food. It's not something that someone can just purchase without thinking twice, right? So we compare a premium $200 AOV, pet food that is purchased by, a mid-30s to late 40s female and upper middle class household, comparing that to someone that is on TikTok Shop or Instagram, and they're seeing something that they don't have to believe in the product to purchase it. They do for us. They have to believe in the product and the message and what we stand for behind it, versus seeing a cool looking THC drink on it. No one cares if they believe in the product or the company. They just want to try a cool new THC drink. Right? So that swipeable, consumable $20 THC drink on TikTok Shop in comparison to a $200 AOV premium dog food purchased by a premium consumer, the decision to switch a daily consumable nutritional product is a lot harder of a decision to make. And in order to make that decision, you need to be educated, you need to truly believe in the product itself, and you need to believe in the brand that's selling it, or else you're not gonna be able to make that switch. So I saw that and I said, okay, well, we can go a few routes here. Route number one would be, let's just get it out there in the masses. We can start with our treats because we can't sell our frozen stuff on these influencer channels. We can start with our treats and just go after a mass market of treat consumers. Now, those $10 to $20 treat consumers aren't necessarily transferable into becoming a 20-month average LTV subscription customer from ours, right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, we can go that route. Maybe we'll just shoot revenue through the roof, but are they really the right customer? Which goes back to the whole Black Friday thing, discount brands. We can go that route, or we can go micro, find Nina who becomes the face, get the company and family story more involved, and Adam on social, Nina on social, get people to believe in the family and the brand behind it with Adam, and then get people to believe in it as a consumer with Nina. And going after the micro influencer market was a decision that I made when I started, because I wanted customers to fall in love with the brand and really connect with the company.
Special shout out to Salvit Advisors, your data science team helping e-commerce brands make smarter, more profitable decisions. At Salvit, they're not just another AI tool. They're real people with real entrepreneurs giving you hands-on, data-driven insights tailored to your business's unique needs. Whether it's testing new marketing channels or optimizing product packaging, Salvit helps you drive more profit without breaking the bank. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to www.salvit.com today.
The easier it is to purchase the product decision making, the easier it is to go viral and have influence out into the marketplace. The more costly and the harder of barrier entry into the product, especially when it's a consumable, the harder it is to go viral. It's a lot bigger of a purchase decision. So that's why we went that route, where we felt that let's bring people into our family, our company, get them to believe in us, and ultimately utilize our customer base first as our micro influencers, because they're the ones that have been using our product for years. They love it, and it's easier for them to convey that message and then start branching out and spider webbing, like our post-purchase survey, just like BattleBox. Ours is crazy. It's like 3/4 of the customers are just referrals. They're just like people of it's a wild number. So which is great, right? So it's like, okay, if you look at that and you're able to look at your post-purchase survey, that's what I tell people all the time. It's like, if a majority of the people, or a big percentage of them, are coming from referral, you're in an extremely amazing micro influencer market, in the sense of getting people to use your Ninas and Adams of the world, that content strategy. If it's not, now you're the opposite. Now you need to really go heavy on your TikTok shop and Instagram, because it's not, you may have, a product that's selling, but it's clearly not something that people are loving so much that they're referring to other people for.
So basically you said size doesn't matter, right? Size doesn't matter. What matters is that you're talking and communicating to the audience and you're basically, your hook is focused on the audience that you want to be there, not to go viral into the mass market of like generics, because you've seen that that's not the right customer. To get to the right customer, that doesn't mean that you have to go explosive viral. It can also mean that you're going really focused viral ultimately. And being viral doesn't always mean, like, to me, it's like, you don't need to have, like in B2B, right? Like, you can't go viral where it's very rare that you're going hundreds of thousands. Right. But in consumer, it's pretty often that it happens. And there's a change there because, well, most people don't give a crap about the business side of things, right? So that's like this weird mix that kind of comes into play when you think about it. John, let's move to the macro side. Like, let's talk big. Like, dude, you got big influencer. You're about to eclipse 1 million. You add them up, you got a couple million together, maybe 3 almost. Like, there's a lot of people that are viewing it, but are they all your customers? Are they all the ones? What's the idea behind that?
Sure. So, everything Brian said is valid. And we were micro, right? We didn't have a lot, but we just continued. And, 9 years later, we've gotten to this point, and we obviously leaned in at the right times. We embraced TikTok Shop early on during the pandemic. We jumped to YouTube Shorts the moment we heard that the algorithm was pushing it. Instagram Reels, we jumped in. So we've always been very, very bleeding edge on listening to where the right spots are and embracing those. We jumped on Threads the day it launched, right? We were wrong. Threads is garbage, but we didn't know. And we didn't want to take the chance of being wrong. So we jumped in. We're still posting content there, but we're still getting followers. But
like you say it's like wrong, but then you got someone like Chase Diamond out there in the B2B space, and he's got like 600,000 followers or something on Threads. And I was like,
it's
where
working.
Are there that many people? But
I didn't know they had that many users.
It's happening. He's happening.
Yeah.
He's got like a copywriting page that's got like 600,000 followers. Something
but to be fair, we're adding thousands every month. On there.
So it's working.
It's not what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still garbage compared to the other platforms.
No, 100%.
But we look at all of that, and you jumped on it day one. Remember?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. Well, consistent every day on Threads.
Yeah, I was. So the reason I jumped on Threads is when Instagram came out, I was a late adopter. When Twitter came out, I was a late adopter. When TikTok, I presented it for a very long time. I was like, okay, here's a new platform. Everyone says be an early adopter. You can really maximize it.
And he's like, this is it. This is my chance.
Yeah.
So the roulette wheel, it's gone black, 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 black. He's like, that's it. It's
all
black.
All in. Everything.
Exactly.
And then what happened?
Red.
And then I was like,
red.
this, and I left it.
But back to the reality. So we were macro. Now we are macro. But it's a really good question, Jimmy, because we've stayed true to who we are and what we talk about and what we do on there. We're not, I hope by the time this airs, we're finally over 1 million on TikTok. We're at like 980 something. Been saying it all for the last several months. Million soon. But the reality is we're not on there doing dances. I think in the 3.5 years we've been on there, I've convinced Brandon to do one dance. And it was a funny dance it was like the funny dance of like my boss told me I had to do this dance like trend.
Yeah.
But the reality is we're never going to get the uber super viral video because we're staying true to ourselves. So our best video on TikTok has 35 million views, which is a lot, but it's not ever going to it's going to be very hard for us ever to get 100 because the one with 35 million, we're testing a water purification bag.
Yeah.
Like if that's not staying
random.
true to your stuff. Now we were smart about it and the intro and it looks like mud, nasty water and it gets clear. So we followed the same stuff you were talking about on that hook in the beginning, but by staying true, the audience is, in theory, possibly a BattleBox customer. Like, because a BattleBox customer for us can be the outdoor enthusiast, the hiker, the camper, but it can also be someone like me that's just a preparedness person that views a lot of the gear as almost in that monthly insurance policy where I want to have this stuff in case something specifically happens.
Now,
so
let me ask you a second question to that macro idea is, do you think that there's a blurry line between what it means to be a macro influencer, like a large, like, you know, someone who gets a large, like a Mr. Beast, or, well, Mr. Beast is a bad example. He sells products, but let's imagine someone like Mr. Beast that doesn't sell products, right? They go viral for a different reason, for advertising money, for sponsorships and different things, versus when you're trying to sell a product or a service, which we're, you know, talking to right now to people who are trying to do it. So to find that fine line where you can actually go viral and create that aspect while still selling your product or service, that becomes a big challenge.
It's hard.
You know,
Very
and
hard.
I what I'm hearing from you, John, is like you've stayed true to exactly what you guys have always been. You've just found that people are attaching to the likability of that influencer, and so you, as a long-term thing, becomes a challenge there, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting, and you know, again, both of you guys have people who are not you guys, who are not founders or owners of the business, leading that front.
Brandon has equity now.
Okay,
though.
Brandon has equity now, which is
earned
great.
it,
But
yeah.
you've got Nina, who doesn't. I mean, I'm assuming at this point, none of that stuff. How do you protect that influential power? Like, how does this hold? Because, well, I'm thinking about this at the human level. Like, eventually, people want to move on. Yeah. What are you guys thinking about that? Like, what happens? Like, I'm gonna ask you guys both this question because it's a hard one. What happens if Nina gives her 2 weeks? What happens if Curran says I'm done? Like, what are you guys gonna do?
Well, I think now we talk about customer profile. I think we found our social face profile.
Got it.
Right? So now it's, yes, Nina, God forbid she were ever to leave, we at least know what to look for now. And that's like the hardest part with finding someone to become the face of your brand, is finding them to begin with. And then once you find them, you at least know what to look for going forward. And just like our head of customer service left us, and customers did love her, but at the same time of it, it's like, you know, tell your customers, which is the transparency piece of it. Yeah, she went on to do this, this, and this.
Yeah, and we're happy for her.
And we're happy for her. You know, good for her. Same thing if Nina were ever to leave, we have other, you know, people that we can replace there. Hey, Nina's going on to do this, this, and this. But I think the big piece of it is we found what our social profile should look like.
So you know deeper beyond what it is. It's like what you need to do, what the viral script looks like, what the videos need to be. What about you? I mean, I know he's got equity, but I'm just saying, you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know, right? He could get hit by a bus. You have no idea, right? The reality is, what? Not like
the thing
really,
that everyone
but
says, though.
I could get hit by. I could walk out today and get hit by a bus, right? Like, how do we replace the reality is we understand our customer, right?
Yeah.
We know how to replicate that if we need to, but I think at the same level, it falls on us also to treat our team members correctly, with respect, and paid correctly, and given equity at a point where it makes sense and they've earned it, and offer future equity down the road, which you can do via options and employee stock programs. So I think it's really, yes, if we had to come to that, but I don't want to come to that bridge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to avoid that bridge if I can.
If you guys remember, there was a situation in the telecom space where a face of a company went to another company. Remember the Verizon guy? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
He went from Verizon to Sprint.
Yeah.
And the interesting part
It didn't
is,
work out for him. It
did
did
not
for a
work
very
out
short
for
period of
them.
time, then he got canned.
Yeah, there was a certain relationship that, can you hear me now, worked with Verizon, and Verizon's still fine today. Like, they doing well, they're doing different things, focusing on different things. So it's very interesting. I do have a question for both of you. I think it's more for you. Typically, when we talk about influencers, and correct me if I'm wrong here, we typically tie to e-com. Now, you're in 1,000 retail stores. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if you have any gauge on how does what you and Nina do on the platform trickle down to retailers from two perspectives. Compared to most, I used to have a dog, my fiance has a dog, and I've been in that space, but like you guys' personality could potentially trickling down to your retailers, and I'm sure there's certain retailers you have incredible relationships with. And at what point does that trickle down to where they become their in-store influencers for you guys? And do you guys see that at all?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. Like Nina right now, she's here in San Diego, but she's out at retail stores, which we do like these weekly retail videos of different stores that
carry your product, right?
Our product.
Yeah.
Right, so a lot of folks, especially in the direct-to-consumer space, in the pet space, they try to keep channels like hidden from each other, right? And what retailers don't like is the inaccessibility and sort of like that bad look for a customer coming on our website, not even knowing that we sell in retail stores. We don't talk about it on social. And they're like, okay, well, wait a minute. Now you're just grabbing free ship. You know, they're paying obviously less than MSRP in retail. So they don't like brands that don't work together with retail. And they like when we send Nina out to the stores,
That's great.
send her on trips to bring that aspect of, we don't care how you buy Omas as long as it gets in your bowl. And here's where we carry it, which is why we talked about Amir building our website down the road, eventually doing some sort of geotag, driving by a store within 10 miles. Hey, Oma's Pride's available at Mike's Spark Shop down the street. You know, doing something like that, right? But then on the other side of it, it's like, okay, well, now that Nina, me, Adam on social, different stores like different people depending on who owns those stores. So when we go to the pet shows, Adam's videos are talked about by those like finance bros that own the dog stores. The people that are just whack jobs like love me because I'm wacky. And then 75% of them love Nina because that's the store owner.
Right? Yeah.
But then, so we're one of the only brands that sell D2C that sends e-com resources to film and promote retail store. And then what we also did, Nina and I, is I said, okay, well, how do we leverage that even more? We have new products coming out, right? We have new packaging, all this sort of price points. How do we leverage it even more? So now once a month, Nina and I, since we're like known now on social in this little community, all retail stores, we're gonna hop on once a month for 1 hour, and we're gonna try to share our knowledge, what Nina and I have learned to grow Oma's e-com social, and we're gonna try to help you grow your stores.
That's cool.
And without selling Omas on it. So you can be a store that signs up via the link to hop on for an hour a month. And we're just gonna talk about growing your store and your social presence, because a lot of retail store owners don't know how to do that. And that's like the bigger lever for them to pull for new foot traffic. So that's what we're starting to do because of that influence that was created from Nina, and also us sending her into the stores.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's pretty cool little trick.
It's a halo effect.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically creating your own halo effect like brands do today with Amazon. He's using it to push on the retail side by talking about it.
Yeah.
I think people don't talk about it enough, actually. That's probably the thing. And to your point, these retailers, they probably adore you guys because you guys are helping drive traffic. And though they might come to buy your product, they're going to buy other products from them too. It's not just one product.
Yeah.
You know, it's an introduction to a localized, you're giving them marketing ultimately when you think about that. Now, I want to continue driving into this. So micro, macro, these are influencers that you have. And I didn't put these on the notes, John, so I'm going off script.
Yeah.
Right? But now let's think about the other side. The influencers that are promoting your product, right? And you talked about this on Commerce Roundtable a little bit. How do you control the quality? How do you control what's being said? How do you control that these people are gonna not only be great for you, and this is the fear that I hear all the time, especially from the finance bros and stuff, is like, if they can bring you up, they can tear you down, right? Have you thought about it as that?
Yeah, so it's a huge concern for us. So we don't take just anybody.
Okay.
We it's very targeted. Now we have funnels on our website where if you are a creator, if you are an influencer, you can submit an application and we'll review it. But we're very targeted, and then just because you apply doesn't mean we're gonna agree to partner with you. But we're really trying to educate, and we're providing guidance, we're providing resources just to ensure that they understand that they're not going to press or pressing record, if you will, until they have all their questions answered. And really a lot of times it's just to ensure that their message is the correct message, because you're right, they can also tear you down. We even take it a step further though. When we have creators and influencers of a certain size, and we're unique because we're able to do this, we collaborate, right? So this guy or girl has 400,000 on YouTube. Let's do some content together. We'll film it together. We'll chop it up where you have some for your channel, we have some for our channel. We'll reference each other's channels and the collaboration piece. And you see influencers without products doing collaborations. Yeah. You're just reaching further audience.
What about you? How do you keep the control?
Yeah, same thing with us. I mean, we're very selective. We just, we don't just put our product like a lot of brands do. Here's our product, here's the offer. Do you want to take it and make some money off of it and create content?
That's
right?
TikTok Shop right now.
So it's TikTok Shop, right? So I think people are confusing influencers with creators. Two totally different people. Influencers truly believe in the product that they're influencing their followers to purchase, and creators are doing it for monetary value for themselves, right? So someone that's promoting chocolate bars, tomorrow is going to promote a THC drink. It's all going to depend upon who's giving them the most margin, who's going to give them the most percentage. So the TikTok Shop creator, those aren't influencers. Those are just people that are going to make a follower make a quick purchase decision to make some monetary money off of it, right?
So what are we right here? Are we creators?
So So there's influencers and creators, which are when you find someone like that, you do everything you can to bring them either on your team.
That's the
right. That's the what do they say? I don't know what they say, but they say something.
They say something. They say something. They say if you find both of those together,
when they say it,
they say it, and you better listen.
But when you find someone that truly loves your product, that's also a great creator and is able to do it organically themselves.
Brandon.
Yeah. You do everything you can to bring them in as close as possible. But then how do you take an influencer that loves your product? That's like, we have so many of them. They're anywhere from 5 to 20,000 follower range, and they love our product so much, and they're so good at talking about it, but their content's just putrid. I mean, horrible content. So now it's like, okay, well, how do you work with them in order to enhance the content for them to be a better influencer for your brand and product? Is it, there's multiple options. Is it you have them submit your video and you have your editing team do it? Do you give them advice? Do you, pay for, like a lot of brands, instead of just doing a 25-25 rev share split on an order, first time order or whatever, do you do, here's free product like BattleBox, which we do for some people, because it's a high value good. So here's $250 a product. Give us 4 videos this month. Every month, give us 4 videos. We'll chop it up, we'll edit it. We'll give them back to you. Feel free to post it yourself. We'll collab with it. We'll also have the rights to post it or run it as an ad.
So you're really getting into the creative a little bit with them.
So taking it and enhancing their influence, because it's so good, it's just not portrayed tech-wise how it should be.
Yeah, so we do that too, where the content becomes our content.
Interesting. Now, Mayor, I know you have a hot take on creator economy. At least I have it written down that you do. So what is it? What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's interesting because, especially when we TikTok shop, it's going to be very cool to follow it. Maybe, John, you know about this. I'm curious what you think too. When Instagram really took off and we had this ability to connect or popularize individuals that are not celebrities, it opened this channel to leverage them as influencers, not quite back then as creators, but more as influencers, and employ them to do posts and promotion and things like that. But as we kind of talked or spoke about previously, the barrier to entry to create a product and start a company is a lot easier now than it was 10, 15 years ago. So now these creators or influencers, however you want to label them, that have 1 million, 2, 3 followers, even some that are less, now are able to monetize their following, if they choose to, much easier by creating their own brands. Or through even like affiliate channels and things like that, which was popular before, it's coming back too. But we see it with Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is a great example. He took his popularity and created into a multi-channel business, from candy bars to burgers to
toys. He has a whole toy line now.
Everything. So I think in the next probably 5 years, we're going to see a lot more of that until it burns out. And I think what's going to burn out, and I hope I'm wrong, is I think they can't match the quality, for example, that Oma does, the quality that John...
Yeah, because they're not businesses.
They're not business, they're not operators. And they don't understand what... So I think it's going to be a quick buck. We're going to cycle through that economy, and then it's going to get saturated even more. And then everything's going to get pulled back because they're not going to be able to sustain.
Well, we've already heard a lot of rumblings about a lot of Mr. Beast ventures are having financial
they're going
challenges.
up as fast as they're coming down.
Yeah.
But I don't actually agree that creator economy goes away. I actually think it continues to evolve a bit. And here's why I think about it, and this is my perspective on it. The creator economy is not a marketing behavior. It's more of a consumer behavior that marketing is leveraging. And what I mean by that is the Gen Z, the people who are spending, who are really the biggest influenced by the creator economy, they're just growing up and making more spending power. And just like we've seen, this is interesting, like one of the things I've noticed about life is like as generations move up in age, right? The more they move up, yeah, they're gonna evolve and grow, but the fundamentals of who they are stay the same. You know when you guys talk to Gen Zer or Gen, what's that, Alpha? Dude, sometimes you don't even understand what the heck they're talking about, right? Language, right? Language has changed. Even the way that my language and your language, and we talk the same language because we're generationally the same, but we had someone too young in here, they would say stuff that we don't understand. I got a guy at Sunlane, this guy Teddy, 23 years old, he says stuff to me and I'm just...
You talk to him?
Yeah, and I'm just like, he's great, he's smart, he's great, he's super, whatever, but he just has a different thinking. And when I think about creator economy, it's just the next step. It took social media, which in our generation was our first evolution of like getting influenced by media in a different way versus the big news media. Our parents got affected by big media, right? Then we got influenced by influence in media, like these people who are on social media. Then now the creator economy, which is allowing people who don't have a big voice, who aren't a big influencer in the big celebrity way, they're just an influencer online. Like there's a lot of people online that have no world presence, but online they got a huge presence, right? They're talking to the people who are making the decisions. So to me, creator economy doesn't go away. It's gonna evolve. Generationally, it's gonna hold on with the Gen Z, right? Generation, and even maybe the late millennials or early millennials, whichever way you wanna look at it. And it's gonna continue on. And that's just the way you market to those people. Just like you go, and I wanna go sell hearing aids, and I'm picking on you because I'm looking at your hearing aids, but most people who are wearing hearing aids, you still advertise them in direct mail. And it's the strongest channel for that. But if I told you to go do direct mail to your Gen Z crowd, you guys would look at me like I'm crazy.
So I agree 100% with you. It's not going to go away. That's what I'm saying is going to go away is this notion of them wanting to start their own businesses. Like, for example, I'm going to use...
You think they'll chill out on that?
Yeah, so I'm going to use probably one of the biggest influencers and creators that we overlook, Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Michael Jordan became a creator and an influencer to be like Mike, and to be like Mike got translated into the most valued shoe line that will probably ever exist. There you go.
Got him on.
And
I don't play basketball.
Yeah, and I mean now it's a collection thing. It's crazy. I would say like Yeezy kind of followed that suit too. That is the ultimate example of that. And I think we're going to go through back and forth with it. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I just think creators being inspired to start their own businesses, I think they're going to realize it's easier to license your name. It's easier to influence. It's less work. Then think about P&Ls, advertising, production line, times, inventory. It takes a lot to run a business. And it's a lot easier to be a spokesperson.
Yeah,
Sure.
it is. Spokesperson is a good way to look at that.
Yeah.
But I think a spokesperson is
It's
a creator.
still creator
Yeah.
or an influencer.
This ad is dedicated to all the brands out there who are struggling with subscriptions. To the people out there with churn rates higher than their mortgage. Y'all called the police on us and we were just trying to get you on recharge. And now look where you are. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby, baby. It was all a dream. Welcome to the recharge scene. Retention just double, celebrate with your team. So watch your churn go down. Every single day we said that recharge will turn you around. There's 20,000 brands that they serve. If your first name is Jay, they'll make your last name Curve. Trusted, robust, and dynamic. They'll make you money while you're laying in the hammock. Just kidding. I wish that was how life worked.
Okay, so we're talking all this D2C stuff, but I mean, you're basically a B2B influencer.
Yeah.
So like, I want your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the same thing I thought about. When I came to, so my story was really interesting. When we started SaaS and, I got into SaaS, no idea what the hell I was doing, right? I was building a business on SaaS, but figure it out. We tried to do the traditional playbook, which they call the Salesforce playbook, which is where you pick up a list, you go scrub a list of, and they call this account-based marketing. You might have heard that term in like the corporate world. All it is going out and finding a targeted list and just hammering at him. Call him, LinkedIn, social, email him, all the things you can do, go to events and go find him and talk to him, right? Well, that started to not work. And the thing I realized and why I spent and doubled down and tripled down on what I realized was I was approaching this wrong because the people who are making the decisions are not affected the same way or making the decisions that I was selling them to. Calling them was annoying. Texting them was annoying. Right? What I found was people needed to find a reason to connect with you, right? Again, going to that age group. And when you realize that in e-commerce, especially being that it's a low barrier of entry, and that's who I serve in the market today, I realized those people are Gen Zers often. And how do Gen Zs react? They react because they respect the person. There's different things. And in business, right? Just like people who might listen to this pod right now, they're listening to us because not because we like to babble, we're funny or whatever it might be. They look at us as some level of thought leadership, right? We obviously have strong enough thoughts and opinions that are respected and they need to come in. So my path on being a B2B influencer has really been learning that the way I'm influencing is not by selling my product. I actually don't ever sell my product online. I'm actually really good about that. But what I do is I give. I'm a creator. I give information to them because my market is a very sliver of the market of the entire D2C space. But if I can talk to these people and become their trusted source, then they come to me. And what's interesting is like at the Commerce Roundtable, you guys saw some of these brands, right? They're not my customers, honestly. And I probably can't service them yet because I'm not big enough to handle them, but they trust me more than they trust their service provider. They trust me more than other people. I've placed them. I mean, I have agencies in that room going, dude, you built our business because you gave me this customer, right? Why did you give it to me, right? And the reality is I made that decision and I don't know if it was the right or wrong decision, but it works out often. Yeah. But the reality was they came to me because I had fed them knowledge and created goodwill. And to me, this is the future of B2B. I think B2B starts changing. The old model is dead. The old model is dead. It's too easy to do AI outbound and automation tools. You know, all these automation tools, and this is funny saying this coming from an automation guy, we kind of ruined marketing. We did. We ruined the holistic value of what marketing is, right? Back in the day, 20 years ago, when I'm calling a person, I didn't just call them. I researched the crap out of them. I understood who they were, their family. Hey, how's your dog Rocky doing? And like, how's the wife doing? You know, that's a personal relationship thing. And this is the bigger, hotter take to this is like, I actually think a lot of people in the market are bad salespeople. Just like we talked about bad marketing, like I also think there's bad salespeople. And especially in SaaS sales, I think there's kind of the worst salespeople that exist in here because they think it's cool to sell SaaS, right? But what I've realized is they don't want to connect with those salespeople. What they want to connect with is someone they can trust, that's giving them value, information, and when that problem comes up, it gives them a chance to really dive into the problem, right? So I think the stories are very similar. It doesn't matter if it's me or someone else in my business. The only difference in the SaaS community that I've learned is that it often has to be the founder or someone who with a very high C-level title. Otherwise, they just look at him as an employee. So the challenge is different there because it's not easy to go get a third party, like, you know, go off and get Ron Shaw at Avi, who has like cool like services to go help people out. That helps, but it only works, and this is what I tell people when they ask me about this, it only works if the business already has a face. If you just go rely on this for the lead source, it won't work because they're only getting you introduced. It's still your job to go off and continue to go on. So to me, like the founder world of like being able to talk and be a thought leader and be able to intelligent and being out in the market, the importance of that is less to get the business. The business is the end result. You're establishing a real flywheel of a repeatable process by using content and being a creator in this space. So a little bit different thinking, but it's still the same thing that I think that everyone's doing. I mean, it's really translates, and B2B is always behind a little bit to consumer. Consumer is always rapid and firing. So if we saw it work in consumer for the last couple of years, what does that tell you? In B2B, it's gonna work again.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it. It needs to come in. And you see some of the greatest businesses have great founders that are out in the market and talking. There's a reason for that because they are the influence of the business, right? Not the business. No one cares a crap about the brand of the business. Even the thing you solve, unless you're doing something super special in your open AI, you're commoditized, man. This market is super commoditized, and with the evolution of AI, everything's gonna be commoditized. It's not gonna be hard. It's gonna be easier and easier to do the things to solve those problems. And it's gonna make people like, you know, Amer with his agency, it's gonna make him better over time because he's gonna make him more efficient and better. But it's also gonna give him challenges because they're gonna say, just like, I can't remember who the business was recently, but they dumped Salesforce and they dumped a couple businesses. These people are starting to make their own stuff in-house because they don't need to. And they're looking and thinking about how I save money through AI, but what they should be thinking about is how they should start changing their go-to-market and start relating to the buyer. And that's what I think is a fallacy in the market right now, is people think that this is the way you do it. To me, the efficiency of a go-to-market is very important. That's where I'm tying into B2B, is like, that is how go-to-market, in my opinion, into the SaaS world, into the future continues, because otherwise you can go buy that same product from 10 other vendors.
I have a question for you guys, and it's interesting, and like you got me thinking by saying this. And you said something earlier, right, about being a marketer and starting your own company because you're really good at it. I feel like in the 1990s, early 2000s, even maybe until 10 years ago, the founders that had a leg up were the programmers, the technical people, because there was very few people that could do what they do.
Sure.
Now I feel, as of this moment, like what you said, and is I think we might be switching back to people who are good marketers and salespeople the way it was in the 80s and 70s, 60s.
Correct.
People good in building relationships. Because now developers are becoming a commodity, and I can build something for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 that 20 years ago would have cost $150,000, $200,000, $500,000.
Yep.
So I think the value is swinging now back to people who are
you're right.
great in relationships.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And what's the best way to create a relationship? Be someone who is respected and influential in the market. And I'm not a huge influencer, but I have enough of a market where when I do say something, people notice.
People listen.
I had an observation yesterday, and it's actually hit me because Matthew from our group posted on LinkedIn that I was always talking to people. And the funny part is I attended a lot of conferences, excluding Sub Summit, because John knows everybody and I was his shadow and got to know everybody there. But this ecommerce roundtable opened my eyes to the fact that because of this platform, and me, I was getting people coming to me. And Paul from Sub Summit mentioned that Amir was really good at it because he was always talking to people. And I was like, I actually didn't approach almost anyone.
Yeah, they approached you, right?
They just constantly approach it. I had a brand chase me down
Yeah.
because we forgot to exchange information. That has never happened to me. It was like,
That's pretty cool.
Now just
Yeah,
imagine
it's
what would
super
happen
cool.
if you posted more, Amer.
Yeah.
I didn't have the time.
No, he just meant in general.
I know.
I was
I'm
every
talking
every
about
morning.
just in general.
Every
Yeah,
morning
yeah.
I was like, have you posted yet?
Yeah.
We posted yet?
I did
Literally.
post today. I did post today.
But literally, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, just imagine if you got out there and talked
And
about
you're
this
doing
stuff
that
more.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just amplifying it.
yeah.
I mean, look, that event that we just did, guys. I mean, the crazy thing about that event is I spent this much dollars getting attendees. I had over 420 attendees, right? Like this much dollars. Why did it happen? Not because I knew everybody. It's because I had the social presence, social reach, and then I leveraged my partners in a social manner to have them talk about it, just like me talk about it. We use influencers to drive it, and I didn't pay anybody to do it. They did it out of goodwill because they like me. They know that I put on a good event, and they know that what my intentions are behind that event, and they've all aligned with that and realize it. Plus, I have a proven track record now, right? I've done it once, I've done it twice now. Guys, guess what's gonna happen next year? It's gonna be even easier for me next year to be like, event up, who's gonna challenge me? No one's gonna challenge me in the market in this space against this event. That would be stupid, right? And secondly, I will be able to continue to hold that line and still continue to elevate and make more money off the event without spending the traditional money, because I have essentially created an event that is not the traditional event that everyone else is doing, right? Us and Sub Summit, we're very different events. We're different ways that we build, different ways we sell.
You both have community.
We have community, but
But
we have a
your
different
top
community.
of funnel is content.
Yes, my top of funnel is content, and I bring in the largest people, and I also create an echo chamber behind it, which is really cool. Like today, everything
All
on
the posts
social
about-
is
yeah.
about how amazing the event was, and now all I'm doing is creating FOMO and preparedness and pre-selling for next year.
So to be fair, that happened last year.
Yeah.
I remember Jordan West made this post about it, and I ended up chatting with him on the phone. He's like, from what I've heard, this year was so much better.
Yeah.
But
last year, everyone thought it was great.
But I had FOMO from it, and I was like, this is before you and I were friends.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
go
great.
next
But I think a really cool thing to think about and bring up is the way that you're talking about B2B sales is so aligned with the way it should be done on the direct-to-consumer side, meaning social media started as a form of connection.
Correct.
And then it turned into a form of content distribution, and now it's turned into a sales channel. Immediately, everyone jumps to social as a sales channel, but they forget about the fundamentals of social media, which is the connection piece of it. People jump over the connection.
It's still there, it still exists.
And they just and most folks just think of social now, especially brands, as a product and sales distribution channel instead of a way to connect with the people that they want to purchase.
And there's just not enough patience.
Yeah.
That's not enough patience behind it too, right?
The interesting part too that I think I like what you do is you have your brand background and experience, but every time that we speak, you kind of dig into it. And I think you understand your target customer probably better than any SaaS company because you were that customer. And you understand how you need to be spoken to and talk to, what kind of value they're looking for. And you haven't kind of turned your head away from that, which is really cool.
Even the way I dress, I know like if a PE firm or like financial, they look at me and they're like, why do you dress like that? Why do you wear a hat at these events? Why are you comfortable going up in front of these people dressed the way you are? Because I'm being who I am, because that's who they are.
Yeah.
And people like to buy from people that are like them.
Yep.
Right? And that's really the big lesson I think about influence is like, you've got to be able to think like that, and you've got to be able to come out of your spectrum. And you're right. You got to stop thinking sales first. You need to think content value, and then sales naturally comes from that. And if you try to drive and create marketing based on just viralness, sure, it can be done. But are you building brand loyalty? Probably not. You're still creating an impulse purchase ultimately because they're getting influenced by the video, not influenced by the connection. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I think, guys, this was a great episode.
Yeah,
this
this
was
was
pretty
fun.
cool.
was
Like
awesome.
we got really deep into this, and I'm sure we're gonna come back into it a little bit more. But that's a wrap for episode 19, guys. That's the truth about going viral in influencer marketing. It's obvious that I think the world will continue to evolve, and we're all watching it. I think that us being on, like, I would say the cutting edge of being in the front of it is really important, because I think everyone's gonna start realizing more and more how important it is, and there'll be new platforms. There'll be a new Threads coming out eventually that's gonna go
Who
challenge
knows?
it.
TikTok might be gone by the end of the year.
I think TikTok's getting bought by Amazon. I mean, that's my personal opinion on
hot
it.
take.
And I think
agree.
that that's going to happen because, well, TikTok and Amazon, it kind of makes a perfect story, to be honest, especially if they're coming out with Amazon China, right? Why not? Anyways, with that, guys, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, Tell us what you think. Find us on social media, TikTok, X, IG, LinkedIn, anywhere you can type in awesome and find us. You can find us, and don't forget to leave us a review. If you enjoyed our pod and we're your favorite podcast, or you just enjoyed it, please give us a review on Apple Music, Spotify, any place that you can find a review. We'd love it. Give us a thumbs up. And remember, we're a video first pod. As you're listening to this potentially or watching it, we do shoot this. You can see our beautiful faces, our reactions, Brian's $12 shoes, anything that we have, we try to show these things off, and we want you to check it out for that dynamic experience. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. We've got this great newsletter. Hopefully, as this pod is coming out, we have a website. and Amir is biting his lip. But you can find us at awesompod.com to subscribe, join, and alert, because we're going to start a newsletter soon.
Yep.
We're committed to starting a newsletter soon, and we hope to be able to continue to share these hot takes. Guys, next episode, we are switching gears one more time. Well, not one more time. We switch gears every time. We're like the ADHD podcast. We like boom, 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 everything.
This is a good one, though.
We're getting into M&A, acquisitions, valuations, and fundraising and more. This one's gonna be really good because I got a lot to talk about in this sector. I know he does too, and I'd love to get a lot of the perspective that we can share. With that being said, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.
Welcome to the Awesome Pod, where we talked a lot. E-com was the path that we walked a lot. But now the question is, will you subscribe or not?